I am Clara Jensen, a 28-year-old office worker in Windsor, a small city that somehow always managed to feel both cozy and confining. I had dedicated years of my life to the company, pouring my heart and soul into every project. I had built meaningful relationships with my coworkers, and I took pride in my work. I loved the sense of achievement I felt when I completed a task or helped a colleague with a problem. Everything changed when a new director took over. Her name was Angela, and she quickly made it clear that she was going to shake things up. The moment she walked through the doors of our office, I felt a chill. Angela was arrogant and condescending, wearing a permanent smirk as if she was better than everyone else in the room. She would go around telling everyone about how smart she was, and it did not take long for her to start meddling in our day-to-day work, complicating tasks that were previously effortless. It was like a dark cloud had settled over our office. I was used to a certain level of independence with my work, but Angela seemed obsessed with power, micromanaging everything. I could not understand why she had to insert herself into every step, making simple tasks feel like hurdles. She would waste my time with pointless requests, deliberately withholding information that I needed to do my job. It felt almost personal. What truly drove me insane was how she would come into my office asking questions she already knew the answers to, staring me down as if I were being tested. I remember one particular week feeling utterly defeated. It was as if she thrived on my incompetence. Things escalated quickly when she outright refused to allow me to work overtime while everyone else in the office could, and her decision to exclude me from bonuses that I had received under my previous boss hit me like a ton of bricks. I was at my wit's end, feeling as though my hard work no longer mattered and that I was being pushed into a corner. It was a dark time. I started to question everything about my work life. I considered my options. I could either keep my head down and endure Angela's tyranny or devise a plan, but what could I do against someone so powerful in the workplace? Little did I know that life had a surprising twist waiting for me. One day, while sitting in the break room, I overheard a conversation between Angela and a couple of coworkers. They were talking about how attractive our delivery guy was. It piqued my interest, and as I listened, a wicked idea began to take shape in my mind. Apparently, Angela had developed a crush on him, constantly making comments about how good-looking he was. I watched as she walked around the office, making an effort to get his attention. But there was more to the story. The guy in question, Jake, and I had been flirting for months. It was innocent at first, just some playful banter and lingering glances whenever he dropped off supplies or made his rounds. But it had become apparent that he had zero interest in Angela, who was completely oblivious to the fact that we were involved in our little game. The more I thought about it, the more my plan solidified. I wanted to turn Angela's obsession back on her, using it to my advantage. I was feeling bold and daring, ready to take matters into my own hands. I have my own set of keys to the office, a little perk that allowed me some leeway after hours. One fateful evening, I decided to invite Jake over for a little visit after everyone else had gone home. My heart raced as I texted him, feeling exhilarated by the potential of what was about to happen. He arrived, looking handsome and confident, and we wasted no time finding a secluded spot. The conference room immediately caught my eye, Angela's favorite meeting space. I knew that the thought of her sitting right where we were in a few hours would give me immense satisfaction. We had ourselves a little rendezvous on the table right in the center of the room. I let loose, shaking off all the tension and frustration that had been building up inside me. Every giggle, every touch was both thrilling and liberating. Fulfilling a fantasy felt so sweet, but I knew the best part was still to come. In the days that followed, I reveled in the knowledge that Angela would unknowingly be sitting in my marked territory. Just the thought of her settling into her chair where my bare skin had once been made my heart race with delight. The day came when Angela called for a meeting to discuss strategy, and I could hardly contain my excitement. As I walked into the room, I could see her collecting her thoughts, oblivious to the secret I held close. I observed the way she sat, pushing her hair over her shoulder, preparing to present her latest grand idea. It was a moment filled with delicious irony. The smug look on her face made it all the more enjoyable. I felt like a puppet master pulling strings from the shadows, watching as she completely ignored the chaos brewing in her own office. I noticed how she shoveled donuts into her mouth during the meeting, oblivious to the fact that she was sitting in the exact spot where I had indulged in my moment of rebellion and freedom. Letting go of my frustrations and simply enjoying the spectacle made dealing with her day-to-day antics a little more tolerable. It empowered me in a way I had not expected. I felt a sense of satisfaction knowing that I had turned the tables. Even though Angela was still in her position, I discovered that strength came in unexpected ways. However, my little game was about to have consequences I had not anticipated. After a few weeks of my not-so-secret escapades with Jake, unbeknownst to me, Angela began to get suspicious. She started throwing around accusations. She summoned Jake for a meeting and grilled him about his whereabouts after hours. It was a reckless move, one that caught me completely off guard. I felt a wave of panic wash over me as I heard him stammering through his words. Luckily, Jake managed to deflect her questions enough, but I knew it was only a matter of time before Angela pieced everything together. I had to act quickly, knowing my reign of playful revenge could be cut short. As I prepared for my final act, I remembered the resilience I had found during this entire ordeal. My confidence soared, and I knew I needed to confront her. I called a meeting and stepped into her office, ready to lay it all out. Facing her directly took incredible courage, but I was fueled by a sense of empowerment I had never experienced before. As I entered, I noticed that her usual poise wavered for just a second. I was ready. I confronted her about her obsession with Jake and how her behaviors were affecting not just me but everyone in the office. It was bold, and I felt brave yet insecure. Angela's response was astonishing. She tried to belittle me, but something shifted in that moment. Instead of the defeat I expected, she listened, perhaps for the first time. I demanded respect, told her that her arrogance had gone too far and that her need for control disrupted productivity. In that tense confrontation, I felt the air crackle with tension, but I was committed. I poured my heart out, and as I did, I could see the facade of her superiority begin to crumble. It was exhilarating. I could practically feel the weight lifting off my shoulders. I had taken a stand, no longer the victim of her petty power games. Whether or not it changed anything in the grand scheme of the office, I walked away feeling rejuvenated, victorious in my own way. Afterward, things shifted. Angela was not quite so haughty, not quite so determined to make me miserable. I had made my point, and she seemed to think twice about exerting her power over me. Finally, there was a sense of peace in my work life. I did not need to hide my enjoyment of my position. Jake and I continued our flirtation, but it became much more lighthearted without the shadow of Angela looming over us. And in a twist I never expected, months later, Angela resigned, surprising everyone, including me. The atmosphere in the office grew lighter, and I learned to appreciate the camaraderie I had missed during her regime. I felt stronger, capable of taking on challenges, and I had discovered new layers of resilience in myself through my unexpected revenge scheme. Life went on, and with the office back to its former glory, I found myself thriving, relieved of the burden I'd carried for so long.